Hello everyone, my name is Shayna and I'm from Glaze TV and I'm here with Kirsten Risser, otherwise known as the Gypsy Way, and we are about to have an awesome live stream discussion. But we're going to let a few more people chime on before we get started. We're a little behind getting started, so for everyone who thought we were going on earlier, we'll give you some time to check in now. But how are you? How are you feeling? Are you excited?
I'm good. This is my first time ever going live. Honestly, I've never done it before.
It's not that scary, I promise. They're going to love you. We're excited to have people come on. But a little bit of background for everybody who is new to the Glaze TV community. We are a platform that not only goes to entertain and educate women, but ultimately motivate and empower them as well. So we're establishing a community based around women who are living lives that are worth talking about and ultimately are living a life that is what they hope to achieve in their own unique ways. So we do a lot of different web series where we not only feature women like Kirsten, but also look to give new women, put them in maybe what could be considered uncomfortable situations because they've never done it before, but give them an experience that is worth talking about and enhances their life in some way. So we're really excited to kick off today talking to the Gypsy Way, which many of you might know from Instagram, to learn a little bit more about who she is, what she's going to be doing with the Glaze TV community. But as a brief introduction, again, I'm here with Kirsten Risser, and you're doing a lot. So not only are you a registered nurse, you're also a seamstress and designer, you're a mom, and you're a health advocate. So you have your hands full.
Yeah, big on health and fitness.
Big on health and fitness. And we're so excited to have you. For everybody who is not familiar, make sure you follow at the Gypsy Way and at Rissk with 2 S's Apparel to be able to check out a little bit more about what it is that we're talking about today. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to do this. I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. Do not be nervous. I mean, we're just glad that you were able to take the time out of the day today because we know how busy you are. So, registered nurse, seamstress, designer, you're really doing it all.
Thank you. Yeah, I just worked a night shift the other night. And, I don't
God
do that
bless
much anymore. And they offered me a bonus, and I'm just kind of off. I'm tired. But
so we're going to be tired to get the bonus.
Yeah, right.
Well, okay, so you're doing a lot. You started as a registered nurse. You're obviously a mom, but when did you really find this passion behind the Gypsy Way? Can you tell us a little bit about where that started?
Okay, so definitely early on childhood. I would say 11 and 12, I started experimenting with clothes. My grandmom taught me how to use a sewing machine. She taught me how to tailor clothes. So I was actually just doing some little creative stuff back then, but I put it down for a long time. I knew I wanted to be a nurse when I was 15 because I always kind of had that hustle mode. I always wanted to make money. I didn't want to have to rely on anybody. And halfway through nursing school, I was like, this can't be my life. I mean, people that do it, God bless them, are incredible people that can do a good job in the nursing field. But I knew that it wasn't going to make me happy. So after nursing school, I sort of hit the ground running with fashion again and started playing and really, really dove into it and didn't stop.
That's amazing.
Not stopping.
And you're definitely not stopping anytime soon with everything that you have going on, which is absolutely amazing. And I think one of the things that I was always a fan before we even came to connect through Glaze TV. And one of the things
I'm a fan of yours now.
Oh.
I love you.
I know. Well, and this is really nice because this might be one of the few opportunities where we actually get to do these live streams in person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're based in the Philadelphia area, so are we. And, so for us to be able to connect together, it's fun because a new friendship is built. And that's really what the Glazed community is hoping to do, through our platform. But
yeah, I love what you guys are doing. It's amazing.
Thank you. But one of the things that, I absolutely loved was when I went to your bio, it's out of order and never by the book. What exactly does that mean?
So that kind of just encompasses what the Gypsy Way is about. The Gypsy Way is sort of, I made the switch from the Gypsy Way to Rissk Apparel, which is my actual clothing line, but the Gypsy Way is sort of still my lifestyle, my personal brand. out of order and never by the book is kind of like how it's like who I am, because you know, you have like society tells you you go to school, you go to college, meet somebody, get married, have kids. Like there's like an order kind of, and I did it completely backwards. Like nothing was in order. I had a child first when I was still sort of a child, and then I went to school and I moved out before I graduated, and everything was just backwards, but it worked. It worked for us, and we're happy. And I just want to show people that like you don't have to have these weird timelines and stuff.
Well, and you know, I think this was a conversation that we even had earlier. So I think what's so important is a lot of times people feel like they need to do this in a certain order because that's the norm, that's what's expected. They feel like if they shy away from that, you know, linear path, that they're doing something wrong.
Or like letting someone down or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of us have these like really old school parents.
Mm-hmm.
The air conditioner just went off, so it's got a lot louder. But yeah, that's a big thing with like, you know, you think that you're supposed to do things by other people's terms or...
Sure. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people not only give up their dreams, but almost like limit what they believe that they can do because they feel like, okay, it's like you said, they go to school, they meet someone, they get married, they start a family, but when is it actually time for them to create their life that they've always envisioned?
Yeah, well, a lot of people, like, they don't do things out of fear, you know, like there's like a certain boldness that you have to go about your day to like hit the ground running kind of thing, or even just small things every day towards the direction of your goals. And like fear is like holding so many people back from making moves.
Sure.
Even just the simplest moves.
Mm-hmm. So with everything that you've done, would you have done anything differently looking back?
Try not to do that to myself. I think, you know, this is sort of generic, but like everything happens for a reason. I do think that like, you know, the mistakes that I've made were, they say you have to fail and fail and fail in order to succeed. So I've done a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Fail often, fail fast.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite mottos.
Yeah. It's good to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to regret anything.
No. And it's all a learning experience. I feel like when we fail, we learn that much faster.
Absolutely. That's literally what it is. Like, you have to fail.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we also talked about how you're a mother and your son. Like, how much of a motivation is he for you?
He is my motivation. I think I always go back to this, and it's kind of like cliche that like you have a child and they change your life. He definitely changed my life. He shaped me. I always say like I grew a backbone when I was pregnant with him because I just got this like really strong sense of empowerment from being a single mom, which is like, you know, it's not super like, you know, people don't put them on a pedestal or anything, but for me it was just like a huge turning point in my life. Like, I don't want to know where I would be without him. Like, I think people will say like kind of weird things sometimes. Like, a couple times people have said things like, oh, you do really well for a single mom. And I'm like, okay. I mean,
I don't know how to take that.
They mean well, but like they don't understand. They don't really get it. Like,
Sure.
they don't get that like he's why I am who I am.
Like, yeah, he is your purpose.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And the fact that you're still, like, I mean, it just goes to show you're living your dream. You're doing everything that you wanted, but it's almost you're doing that because of him. Because, like, he is your heart. But that's
people
amazing.
who really know me, who really know like what a wild child I was and how out of control I was. They're like, yeah, your son saved your life.
Yeah.
They get it.
But that's amazing.
Yeah.
And all right, so not only, I mean, you went through a big journey like that, but your brand has also gone through a big journey. So you started off as thrifted and tailored, correct?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. There's
Okay.
some people, I have some really like loyal, I call them friends at this point because they've been following me since like day one, but my brand used to be called Thrifted and Tailored. It wasn't really a brand at that point, but I was taking thrifted clothing and changing it into something else. And the Gypsy Way was sort of like my slogan or tagline type of thing, and I started making clothes from straight fabric finally because it was just evolving. You know, I was doing it all the time, so I was like, I can do that, and then it became the Gypsy Way. And I think I started that Instagram in like 2012 or something.
Okay.
And I was just tagging. I don't know. It really took off. Like the before after pictures of the thrifted clothing. Like people really loved that.
Because I know I enjoy fashion. Would I consider myself to be a fashion icon? No, but I love looking at everything that you're doing because it is so much.
You're very
Here I am. I'm trying to be put together today because I have to live up to your style.
You always look great. No, that's a common misconception that people make. I don't really consider myself like that fashionable. Like on a daily, like I wear a lot of like athleisure and like I don't think there's a difference between like a stylist and a seamstress and someone who designs clothes. It's like the stylist, like you do well, you do great.
She's just nice.
Yeah,
and so you went from that, and now you also have Rissk Apparel. Where did that stem from?
Oh right, okay, yeah. So the Gypsy Way was sort of like I explained a little bit about how it's like kind of more of like a lifestyle like brand. So it just was getting to a point where I felt like also the term gypsy is like offensive to some people, and like the way I'm trying to blow my collection up, I don't think I couldn't stick with that. I mean, it's still very important to me. It's still how I identify. It's how people identify me, so I don't want to lose that. But Rissk Apparel sort of is like, I was on a word scrambler with my name, so Rissk is actually R-I-S-S. It's from my last name, Risser, and then Rissk, K. So it came up, and like, my sister actually said then she saw a misspelling of Rissk, and she's like, it's meant to be. And I just felt like so connected to it and excited, and it just felt like the right move to make. So that's sort of like where my collections are. Like this is like, these are my collections, but the Gypsy Way is still, you know, it's still custom clothing. It's still my lifestyle. It's still who I am. So it's just sort of how I separated the two.
Sure. Now, did you ever see yourself being and having the opportunity to have your own platform? Like, did you understand the power that could come along with it now that you have all of these followers? It's weird to like refer to it as power, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think so the platform, it's funny because it's like I have about 40,000 followers, and I look at other people, it seems very small on a large scale, because it seems like the people that are really running Instagram and are making money off of their Instagram accounts are like way bigger than that. But you know, it is a presence, and I do appreciate it for what it's doing for my business and my life and everything. But at the same time, I really try not to focus too much on it. I mean, I'm grateful. I don't want to seem ungrateful for that. Like I love when I post something that's like somewhat inspirational, and there's people in my inbox that are saying, hey, that really resonated with me. Like I love that connection. I love connecting with people on that level. But social media is a dangerous game. There's two, especially for like the younger millennials. I consider myself like an older millennial, but we're all going through it with this, you know, with this image crisis of like who we think we're supposed to be versus who we actually are. And I don't want to put too much weight on that ever. Sure. Even as my following grows, I want to keep it at bay.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. But I mean,
there's too much ego.
There absolutely is. I mean, I've been a fan. We're really excited for all of our followers to become fans too. And you know, just hearing your journey, it's comforting to know how real and genuine you are, because a lot of times you see that people at these platforms, there is that disconnect between who people interpret that they are, and then you meet them in real person, then what comes with it. And I think you've really embodied, like, your whole social platform is a complete representation of who you are as a person, which I think is so
it's
tasteful.
A lot of bikini selfies, but you know, I mean, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, what am I really putting out there? Like, I'm working on being like more approachable. I think a lot of us are walking, especially like we're in Philly, so a lot of us are walking around like disgruntled about something. So I'm just kind of, I'm definitely concerned about like what I'm putting out there. Like, what are people taking from me? Like, am I being genuine? Am I being kind all the time? You can go into defense mode. Like,
sure, 100%. I think one of the most exciting parts of the interviews that we're doing is when we can go into this rapid fire question mode where you can really get to know one another based off of these questions. So are you ready for it? Dun dun dun. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's ready. It's ready.
All right, so what is your wake-up ritual?
Oh, that's a good one. I have like an ideal wake-up ritual, and then I have my actual wake-up ritual. I'm trying really hard to wake up earlier in the morning. There's so much out there, literature about how like the early bird gets the worm or whatever, you know. But definitely drink a ton of water when you wake up. That's like really good. You've been fasting all night, your body's not eating. If you don't eat breakfast, that's fine, but drink water. I take my vitamins like liquid on an empty stomach. I take these isotonics vitamins that I think are great. What else do I do? Ideally, I want to meditate for 20 minutes max. You know, even 5 is great, but for me it's just I have to get my son off to school, so a lot of times that ends up being my biggest focus.
Sure.
But ideally, I have time in the morning, I can meditate, you know, do all that before I get my day started. But I can't say it always ends up that way because it doesn't.
So, what are 3 things that you can't live without?
Coffee, unfortunately.
As we're trying to have these morning routines.
I know, definitely caffeine. My headphones and journaling, writing, everything down. I can see you're the same way. We have something in common.
What is your favorite current trend?
I'm wearing it. So,
which is amazing.
Deconstructed. This is actually really simple. So all I did was take the top off of it and I put some elastic in it. I didn't really do much else, but the deconstructed button-up is like, you do it all different ways. I actually didn't tackle this trend as much as I really wanted to, but I never will, so that's okay. The cool thing about that is that when I was doing thrifted and tailored and just starting, I was deconstructing button-ups like all the time. It was kind of my thing, and then it became so big this year, and I was so excited. I was like,
trendsetter. That's what it is. And I also need to note, like, I really didn't do much to do this. Like, this looks absolutely fabulous. Any of us would be so lost trying to do this, but this is just something so simple.
I have a DIY video. You can go check it out.
So we'll make sure you post that link below, so that way everybody can check it out. Now, what is a trend that you never understood?
I wouldn't say that I never understood a trend. I think I think people should do what they want as far as fashion goes. I've definitely been subject to a lot of judgment and criticism for things that I decided to do on a whim. Like wearing, like, I do what you want to do. I'm not the one that's going to be like, oh, why is she wearing that? You know.
Everybody has their own style.
Yeah.
Okay. What is one ingredient you put in everything?
Pink Himalayan sea salt. Pink Himalayan sea salt. I actually put it in my water. Let me show you this. This
is the biggest water bottle I have ever seen.
People always make fun of me for this. They're like, how on earth? I mean, it is a carafe if you really want to put it that way. I try to drink 2 of these a day. It's like about a gallon. And in order to keep it like balanced, you put Pink Himalayan sea salt into it, which is like one of the best detoxifying agents, and it tastes just like salt.
That's the nurse coming out.
Balance.
It's all about balance.
Yeah.
What is your biggest fear?
Being unhappy.
I think we can all relate to that.
I think just to keep it real, I struggle, you know, like anybody. I think a lot of times people look at you on the surface and be like, you have, you know, you're somewhat successful, or I probably look more successful than I actually am. I'm pushing hard. Like, I have my really successful months, and then I have months where I don't meet my sales goals. And but yeah, being happy through the struggle and trying to be happy even when things aren't going well, and even when you're feeling let down by people that thought were going to be down. It's getting a little too real. But,
no, but I mean, I think it's something that we can all relate to, you know?
Yeah. Happiness is like something definitely that more of us should prioritize.
I agree with that. Okay, so now off of this, what has been the biggest obstacle you've gone through?
Biggest obstacle, I think just meeting my sales goals and like just trying to find the flow and the making the business go smoothly.
Sure.
It's really like a huge challenge trying to like keep the orders coming in and also like processing all of them and doing, like, I have a phenomenal support system now. I have a couple great interns that are like really saving my life. But yeah.
Okay.
It's a big obstacle.
Favorite books. I know you love books, so I'm excited to hear what your favorites are.
This is a good one. I have a love and hate relationship with Audible. So I've been listening to my books with headphones that I can't live without. And I think that if you're actually devoting the time to read, I think that might be more effective. But because I notice a lot of times when I'm listening to something, my mind's just like. Definitely The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He's amazing. It's a little weird, like at first, but if you can, like, the words really resonated with me personally. It's about getting out of your own head and being present and feeling whatever you're feeling in the moment and not playing the same tapes over and over again, because that's really self-deprecating. It's a disease, actually. Like, not being able to stop thinking is like a disease that we're all suffering from. So sorry, I'm talking way too much.
No, I like it.
Creative visualization is the other one. Shakti Goin, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but that's a book about manifesting whatever it is that you want through consistent visualization, through feeling it, through actually living it, like living as if it's already happening. And that I can attest to, like, things that I wanted to do in life that I've, like, it's worked for me. So books was a big one for me.
I need to write down some of these books because they sound amazing.
Yeah, I'll give them to you, borrow them.
Perfect. All right, I love it.
Oh, one more, sorry.
Yes.
I'm reading The Danish Way of Parenting right now. Not reading,
Yes,
listening.
all right, so you were telling me about that. Okay.
I was telling you a little bit about it. So apparently the people, Denmark people, are like the happiest people in the world, supposedly, right? Sociologically. So this book has a lot to do with, like, giving your children autonomy, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. But, like, I'm obsessed with this book right now because American parenting, I'm not gonna, like, say it's horrible or anything, but, like, we're a little too, like, on top of our kids about things. Like, we want them to, like, make us proud and, you know, all this stuff, and we forget to, like, let them make their own decisions and be their own person. And why that's so relevant is because this is what we're bringing up into the world. Like, we have to raise confident, happy people, not anxious, fearful people.
Yep, that's so important. And that just goes to show, I mean, like, the diversity in, like, your style of books is amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I really like it. All right, I'm excited to tap into a couple of these. Maybe not the parenting one yet because I'm not at that level, but it'll be good for when I am.
understand.
All right, so vintage or new?
Definitely vintage, hands down, because you can make it new. That's what I live for.
All right, this is a little bit of a morbid thought, but it'll show just who's so important in your life. Who would you want to write your obituary?
My sister. Interesting thought with that. Like, me and my siblings, I have an older brother too, we're all polar opposite. I'm like the liberal, like, kind of fly by the seat of her pants person. My sister's super conservative, did everything by the book, which is okay if that works for you and that's something you want to do. Like, I wouldn't, you know, no judgment, but she gets me, even though we're so different. She just gets it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you ever have time for side projects with how busy you are?
Funny you should say that. Actually, the reason I haven't put out a collection on Rissk in a little bit is because I'm working on a couple projects with some people that are very important and close to me. A really good friend of mine kind of came to me with this great idea and, like, handed it to me on a silver platter and was like, hey, you should do this. And I was like, Devin, this is your idea. You, like, long story short, we started collaborating and, like, we're going to go into business together. And it's moving, you know, I can't tell you what it is yet, but...
That's why you need to follow her.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll start posting about it. Like, once we actually have everything in order, we will talk more about it. The other one is a really good friend of mine, kind of newer friend, but he's amazing. His name's Just Mike the Poet, and I'm just designing a couple pieces for him that he's going to be putting his logo on, and, like, we're just kind of collaborating in that sense. I just really look up to him in a lot of ways. He's, like, activist for women empowerment, and you should follow him, Just Mike the Poet.
Okay. All right, so we need to look out for those upcoming things because they sound incredible, and you seem super excited about both of them.
Because it's different, like, change of pace.
Absolutely. Keeps you creative, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you define beauty?
This is, like, probably really cliche. I love that word, cliche. I think somebody who's super secure with themselves is beautiful. no matter what physical beauty you have. Like, have you ever met somebody who's like super physically attractive and then you get to know them and they're just super self-centered, or they need a lot of validation or whatever? I'm not trying to put those people down because everybody has their own struggles, but they get less attractive when they're not secure, when they don't know they're beautiful.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like the way that you put that.
Yeah, I think people, even if you meet somebody and they're not attractive at first, you know, man or woman, and then they, you know, they have this amazing way about them that makes them more attractive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, outer beauty is one of those things that's always going to fade, but
yeah,
I think the best thing that
it's boring. It's getting boring, honestly, with all this stuff on Instagram where it's like bombarded with like the boobs and the butt and like the. I'm like, well, seen that before. You know?
Yeah, just another.
Show me something that's.
And it's always like, I think the one thing that I always remembered when I was told when I was younger, a laugh never fades. You know, beauty fades, but a laugh never fades. And if someone can make you laugh, then that's what makes someone beautiful.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with all of that. Do you have any tattoos?
Yeah. I have 4 on this arm, and I just got one on Sunday. Actually, it's right here. It's like over my heart, and it's Cam's initials, my son Cam, CWR, and then it has his birthday and Roman numerals under it. And I showed him, like, right after I got it. He was like super tickled and excited about it.
Oh my gosh! So it's, I mean, I know you guys are always together, but now he's absolutely always with you everywhere you go.
Yeah, he's attached to my hip. I kind of thought that would like lighten up a little bit as he got older. I thought he would, like, you know, I mean, he's turning 9. He's still young, obviously, like super. He's just not a baby anymore. He's like, he's a big kid, but that kid loves me. Not more than I love him, but we are very, very close. Very close. And like these days, it's like if it's a Saturday night and I want to go somewhere and he's like, no, I really want to just be with you tonight, then I'm like, I'm a sucker. I'm like, all right, I'm not going anywhere.
I love it.
That's my guy.
That's amazing. The guy that'll never let you down. There you go.
There you go.
Now, what is the best advice that you've ever received?
Definitely a few people that have experience doing similar things that I have are saying, like, you got to just listen to yourself more, listen a little bit more to your intuition. I went through a period of time where, like, so many people were just, like, and it was, like, I could recognize, like, the positive intention behind it, but it was just, like, you should, and, like, I was getting really overwhelmed. I was getting really anxious. I was just, like, the noise, like,
yeah,
you know,
it's too much.
You got to do what's good for you.
I love that. Are you a morning person or are you a night owl?
I'm a night owl, unfortunately, right now. All those night shifts that I was working are still kind of like lingering in me where, like, I just can't get up early. I gotta change it. I'm gonna change it.
We're both trying to do this together,
yeah.
so
I'll call you at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay,
hopefully I'll be at the gym. Most likely my head's gonna be on the pillow.
One day at a time.
One day at a time, exactly. It's all about progress.
Right.
We'll get up a minute earlier each day and we'll get there. Favorite place that you've ever traveled?
Haven't traveled enough. For somebody that calls themselves the gypsy way, it's really kind of untrue. I mean, as far as in the traveling sense. My having a baby when I was 18 really, like, didn't let me go anywhere. But I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think my son's kind of entering into an age where I'm open to homeschooling him, which is something I plan on talking a lot more to people. People have a very closed-minded perception of what homeschooling is, but I definitely want to hit the road more. I went to California when I was 23. My friend lived, like, in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard, so that was, like, the coolest experience. Yeah, but that's, like, really about it. I haven't been many places.
Okay, so California, but then many to come.
Many to come.
I like that. So this is an interesting question, but, you know, we all look at you and we think you're living your dream job, but do you have other dreams that you hope to get to?
Yeah. Living my dream job, that's something that I really have to, like, take some time to be more grateful for, is the fact that I am doing what I always wanted to do, and that we got to focus on, like, you know, when you achieve a goal, you have to really, like, stop and be grateful to yourself for doing that. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going and you're never going to actually find the happiness. But I do want to get to a point where I'm doing more, like, philanthropy work, and where maybe my business allows me to, like, give back more. Not that you have to have a ton of money to do so, but I also want to be, like, more in design mode, where like I'm coming up with the designs rather than making everything, because I just freehand patterns now. Like I don't actually, like, I think sitting down and planning them out is something that I really want to be able to have the time to focus on more.
Okay, I love it. Now, what has been your biggest major life move thus far?
Like in life? Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely moving into this house. I was 20 years old when I moved into this house. So I had my son when I was 18, and I went back to school 10 days after he was born. And
wow, 10 years?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was crazy. At the time, like, man, it was, pretty wild. But
that's incredible.
Halfway through nursing school is a 2-year program, so a year into it, I moved out, and I was working and going to nursing school full time, and then I lived in my house with my 2-year-old, which was just like, that was the craziest life move. At the time, It was like really exciting, but like looking back on it now, I'm like, whoa, I was a baby.
I mean, that's incredible. The fact that you've been able to do it, and do it all so gracefully too.
Oh, thank you. No, not graceful. Maybe it looks that way. Not graceful.
I love it. Okay, so what is your go-to for a good laugh?
You can create your own laughs. I think my son has this really good sense of humor that, like, I like to think that I gave him. I don't think you have to go anywhere to get your laughs. Like, if you wake up and have and you just decide, like, set an intention, make a decision where, like, I'm just going to take everything a lot more lighthearted today, and, like, I'm going to laugh at things that would normally bother me, or, like, you can do that yourself.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
It's great.
It's all about mindset and what you choose to believe. I like that.
Thanks.
So among all of your friends, what are you known most for?
Definitely being mom.
Being a mom.
Being motherly.
Because
I don't get out much. They all know. They know that when I go out, it's like kind of a big deal to me. Obviously, not everybody to me, but I don't get out much. It's definitely the mom thing.
I love it. Is there a certain skill that you want to be able to learn?
I want to, like, be more flexible. Kind of want to do yoga, which is kind of like because I do a lot of weight training, but so yoga, you can actually hurt yourself. I don't know if you guys know that. That's a good nurse, like, healthcare tip. If you're stretching out your muscles and shortening them, which is what you're doing when you're training, you're prone to injury. I learned that the hard way. But also, like, I want to learn Spanish. Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do. I'll get around to it eventually.
We're going to add them all to our to-do list.
Yeah, we're going to journal about them. Creatively visualize that you're going to be there.
I like it. See, we're reading and we're practicing what we read. It's all about execution. So what is the most essential part of a friendship to you?
Trust and loyalty. I say that with, like, a frown because it's really hard to come by. Like, what are your friends saying when you're not around? You know, like, I have great people in my life at the moment, and, you know, that I trust and love, and you know, you have to start with yourself. Like, what do you say about your friends when they're not around? Like, or like if somebody gets brought up, like, put your friends on a pedestal and speak the world of them, and watch how much they flourish. Like, just make sure that you bring people up, and that's anybody, not just friendships. Like, there's too much of the judgy, critical stuff going on, and I hate that I'm so affected by it, but it's always plagued me. Like, I'm always, why do you need to why do you need to point fingers? Yeah.
If there was spread kindness.
Yeah. Sure.
I love that. What is something that most people do not know about you?
I can ride a unicycle.
We need to see this, so we need to figure out how we can get this out to everybody so we can
I learned how to unicycle when I was 11. I had these really cool, like, quirky neighbors that they were always encouraging their kids to do, like, you know, different outlandish things, and I hung out with them a lot, and I learned when I was 11, and I can still do it now.
Talk about a secret talent. That's incredible. I'm, like, very impressed.
Thank
Okay,
you.
So designing clothes,
it's weird,
seamstress, mother, and then we'll add in
amateur. I might join the circus. I just give all this.
That's how you travel. That's how you become a gypsy. You join the
Hop
circus.
on a train.
All right, we figured out everything from this point on.
You like those?
What is a wrong assumption that some people could have about you?
I have my introverted moments. I wouldn't call myself an introvert because I can be outgoing, but I definitely have more of a tendency to, like, need my alone time and stuff, and I think a lot of times people can think that you're people can definitely draw a lot of wrong conclusions from that. Like maybe you're stuck up, or you are caring more about yourself than other people, and that's really not.
Sure.
That's not what I want to put out into the world, but it's okay.
I like that. What do you want to be remembered for?
Another really generic answer, but being a good person. You know, a lot of us, like, we get so caught up in our goals, and like, I want to make a lot of money, and I want to do this, and I want to like accomplish this and get this degree, and how did you make people feel though?
I think it's so important.
Yeah.
All right, and so our favorite question to ask and our last question to ask: what makes you a glazed woman?
From what I know about the glazed woman, I feel like there's a lot of empowerment behind it. But for me personally, I think that the independence factor and making my own way, I think that really embodies the glazed woman, and being like motivational. I never thought that I would be out here inspiring people, but people tell me that I am, and it's something that I'm really grateful for, to have the opportunity to do. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to like be here with you.
I know, I'm so glad that we got to do this. No, this has been amazing. I'm personally so glad that I'm the one from the team that's been able to interview you, because we got to connect a little bit ago.
We did.
So
I made her a bikini. We're going to go try it
I know, I'm so excited. So, you know, for everybody who's interested, make sure you go and follow at The Gypsy Way and at Rissk, with 2 S's, Apparel. So you can learn a little bit more about everything that Kirsten's doing. There's so much that you have going on, so much more that's yet to come. And I know specifically for Glazed, we are super, super, super excited to announce our next episode, which is going to be premiering next week, which completely gives you an inside access about everything that's going on in your life. And I know I'm super excited to see it, because everything that you do, I'm like just completely blown away by. And it's going to be really, really great.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I really love what you guys are doing. Again, I think I already said that, but I'll just say it again. You guys are really awesome. I'm so flattered and excited to be part of it.
Well, we have been so excited to have you. Thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in and who's going to watch the recording of this. And make sure, again, next week, be prepared for a new episode. And make sure you give us some of your feedback. Like, what are some things that we can do for you? This community is all about supporting one another as women together. So we want to learn what you're interested in, what inspires you, what motivates you. And then so we can give you what exactly it is that you want. So I know I have a new bikini that I get to go try on. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and make sure that you go and follow at The Gypsy Way to learn everything else that there is to learn.
Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye,
see you next week for our next live stream, where we're going to be introducing you to another glazed woman.